Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd with a review for you, better reviews. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm gonna give you the good, I'm gonna give you the bad, I'm gonna give you the nerdy. So yes, I'm finally reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sorry it took me a bit to do this. As some of you know, I went on a trip to London, but now I'm here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I saw. It's weird, I saw this movie probably before a lot of people did, and yet I'm one of the last people reviewing it. Okay. I don't know if what I'm going to be saying in this review is technically a spoiler or not, because I don't really know what all is out there. I know there are some things that are revealed in the movie, but I know there were some things that were also revealed in the trailers. And I know for some reason there was a lot of blogs and websites and videos that were putting up a lot of information about this movie before it even came out, like how many after credits it had, what certain characters were like, what characters that were supposed to be in the movie were not in the movie, but then we'll see them in future movies. Like, it's a lot of info about this movie that went out before the movie came out. Which, I'm just gonna be real, I'm kind of getting sick of that. Let me just be honest with you. There's a certain point where I just need to be like, I don't need to know anything else about the movie. Let me just go see it and enjoy it for what it is. Tangent. But anyway, I don't know. I may be talking about some things that maybe you don't know about that happens in the movie. This is a spoiler-ish, not spoiler-free, but not spoiler-filled, just me talking about the movie. I liked it. I enjoyed the movie, man. I thought it was a fun movie. And this is a hard movie to be made, because Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, it was one of these things where Marvel was popular at the time, but just the concept of this movie, we had not had a movie like that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One that's going to take place in space, be mostly sci-fi fantasy, feature a bunch of characters that a lot of people did not know personally, were not household names like your Spider-Mans or your Batmans or your Supermans. You know, like, this was a completely out of left field movie that once it was made and we saw how fun it was and how successful it was, this was really the movie that said, okay, Marvel, we're in. Whatever you got for us, we're ready to go see it. So to be the sequel to that movie, that's a tough act to follow, man. The hype level was so high post first Guardians of the Galaxy movie that I could imagine going into this one being like, oh man, I'm ready to have that same feeling again. Ooga chaka, ooga ooga. And just honestly, that's a hard thing to do a second time, you know? So I felt like for the movie that I got, without putting any pretense of what I should expect it to be based on the first one, I thought it was fun. I had a great time with it. Love the comedy in it. The visuals are just so stunning. This is just one of these colorful, beautiful movies to where I almost don't even need a plot. I could just have them going in through space, doing a bunch of jokes, having their space battles for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I would be personally satisfied with just that. Is that wrong that I'm almost like, don't give me a plot, just run around in space and joke around each other? That'd be great. But I did love all that stuff, all the space battle stuff, particularly with the Sovereign, the gold elitist people, who honestly, I didn't think I was gonna like those characters. When I saw them in a trailer, I was like, oh, another one of these Marvel villains where they're just high and mighty and they just say a bunch of nonsense and then we will attack. And I ended up actually liking those characters a lot, particularly in their space battles. This is probably a spoiler, but there's basically something that they do in the space battles that's almost like an arcade. There's a whole sequence with them that was cracking me up because it made me think back to classic watching people play arcade games at the mall. But I gotta say, man, as much as I love the action, what really got me in this movie was the character development. I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the first movie, I felt like that was a world-building movie. We didn't get a whole bunch of in-depth stuff with some of the characters. We got proper introductions. But I feel like that was a movie that was really just trying to establish how sci-fi and space works in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now that that's been established, now that we've seen that and see how it fits, and we've seen even crazier stuff since then, like magic with Doctor Strange, now with this one, they can focus a lot more on the characters. Why is this group of individuals a family? When you got Vin Diesel around, it's gotta be a family. But we get to see their interactions. We see them bickering, we see them arguing, we see them disagreeing with each other, but we also see why they're so bonded to each other, why they care about each other so much. You have different characters talk to each other and you realize that they are having issues with others because they have the same characteristics. And when they realize that, it helps them bond a little bit better. We get a lot of stuff with Gamora and Nebula and their whole relationship. We get a lot of Rocket and Yondu together, which I thought was a very interesting combination. But again, it brought out some very interesting stuff about them. Drax is just freaking amazing in this movie. I liked Drax in the first movie, but I loved him in this movie. Just every time he talks or when he laughs, I'm just like, dude, you are killing it, Drax. I thought Kurt Russell was great As Ego, I thought his relationship with Peter Quill, with Star-Lord, with Chris Pratt, I thought was great. And even Mantis, the new character that popped in this movie, I liked her character. She had this very naive quality about her that I thought was very interesting. Baby Groot is adorable. Yes, he is there to sell toys. Don't even try to hide it, Disney and Marvel. We know what's up. You want to sell some Baby Groot toys. But that being said, I love him. And I gotta give special props to Michael Rooker, Yondu, in this movie. He really brings it. And you really start to learn why he has this connection with Peter Quill. It's just this nice concept of, and they even say it in the movie about who your father is versus who your daddy is. Just understanding that people who may not be your relative by blood may still be your family. Family. Can Guardians of the Galaxy cross over with Fast and the Furious? I think that will be awesome. There are times when there's no battles going on, when there's no action going on, it's just the characters talking to each other, and I enjoy that. It's kind of a similar way I feel about with Logan and Power Rangers, of just like, it's okay sometimes with these movies to have moments where the characters just communicate with each other, and you learn more about them, and you don't have to just throw spectacle at me and CGI at me all the time, because we've seen it all. It's okay to have that in that movie, and I want to have that for the excitement, but it's nice to just have the characters grow, and I'm glad the movie took its time to do that. There's a lot to like about this movie, man. I really enjoyed it. But it's not perfect. There are some flaws, and unfortunately, the flaws it has, again, is that plot. Like, if I'm just like, if you just take that plot out, this movie would be perfect. The action and energy, particularly at the beginning of this movie, I loved. Like, the energy of it, the action of it. Baby Groot is all up in there with his cuteness, but when they're getting into this actual plot, the actual story, then you can almost feel it like kind of calming down a little bit because they have to do the bullet points of whatever this plot is. This is literally what happened with me when I watched the movie. I'm like enjoying it, going crazy. This is like, this is a lot of fun. I'm really appreciating this. And there's one point where Mantis just makes a face. And as soon as she makes that face, I went, oh, I know what's gonna happen now. And you basically are then just waiting for the rest of the movie for the reveal to basically happen. Now, that might be just me. Maybe most people won't even put two and two together. But just for me, it just felt like there was a certain point in the movie where I just kind of knew where it was heading. And so it was more like, well, I'm kind of enjoying this, but at the same time, when are you just gonna just do this thing that I know you're gonna do? And the reason why it's an issue for me a little bit is just because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe alone, it's a trope that's been done before. All the scenes are good, it's just, I couldn't help but just watch it and just have that overlaying feeling of like, when's that scene gonna come? When's that scene gonna come? And that scene comes, I'm like, there it is. That's the whole thing. I knew it was something. And then when we get to that scene, the third act gets into your usual third act of, oh, I'm going to start this thing to happen. Something strange is happening. We all gotta run. Oh no, look out. Plato's coming. We're gonna get covered by Nickelodeon gack. I know that you always want to have a threat and a danger, but sometimes a threat and a danger can be internalized. Like, I don't think every third act of a Marvel movie needs to end with somebody doing something that's going to take over / destroy / conquer the world. Like, sometimes it could just be like, man, hey, you and me got a problem. And you and me just need to fight it out. But there were still some fun visuals in there, and there's even a little reference to my buddy here. Where's he at? Does ring any bells for you when watching the movie? That's all I'm gonna say about that. Obviously, stay after the credits. You know there's gonna be an after credit scene, or in this case, after credit scenes. It's a movie in itself. It's a short film of after credit scenes. So overall, I like the movie. I love the action. I really love the character development. It's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I want to see it again. And any of the issues that I have are not even so much Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 issues as they are issues in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. I think if you like the first one and you can bring your hype level down to not think the second one's gonna repeat the insanity and excitement you had from the first one, I think you can enjoy this movie. But it's gonna obviously be hard to distance that emotion, because that was some strong emotion after that first movie. And one final thing. For all those people who were making fun of the Power Rangers movie because of their blatant Krispy Kreme product placement, while Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is not as bad, there is a restaurant product placement in this movie that is strong. It's gonna make you want to have a blizzard when you're done with this movie. And it gets destroyed too. I'm sorry, it's a spoiler, but what is it about these restaurants is like, put me in your movie and also destroy me. So if you're a Power Ranger, you go to the Krispy Kreme. If you're a Guardians of the Galaxy, you roll up in the Dairy Queen. This makes me nervous of what the product placement of restaurants will be for Black Panther. Please don't. Just don't. So what'd you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Let me know in the comments. And if there are any other movies you would like for me to talk about, both past or present, please feel free to make your suggestions. If you are new here, please subscribe to this channel and also ring that bell because that's the way you get notified of every video that I make. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000 Chain Chomp. Yelp.